everyone, my name is Josie Violet. Welcome back to Josie Violet Knits. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, I feel like the beginning of the year is that kind of time where everyone starts to make their goals and their plans and their intentions for the year. I try and avoid sticking to too much of a strong New Year's resolution energy because I feel like you're just going to set yourself up for disappointment. But in saying that, I have been putting together a little bit of a list of kind of intentions or goals that I want to do for 2026. None of these are going to be anything crazy. They're all quite fun things that I'm probably going to do whether I set them as an intention or not. But I thought it would be fun to share my goals for the year, and then maybe at the end of this year we can look back and see if I actually achieved them. The first thing I want to do this year is to wear a full length outfit of hand knits. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to have to start knitting some bottoms or, a dress, a skirt or shorts, because at the moment I mainly just have tops. I have knitted vest tops, I've knitted cardigans, jumpers and vests, but I haven't knitted anything for my bottom half. I have started knitting the seashore skirt by Kurta, which I'm hoping to have finished at some point this year. I've kind of put it on ice a little bit until the spring because I just didn't feel the motivation to be knitting that in the winter. So maybe that will be the first way that I can achieve that. The other thing, to have a head to toe outfit, you're gonna have some socks. So I'll get onto my sock intention in a minute. I'm also gonna need something on my head. So that might be a scrunchie, it might be a hat. Basically, I want to be able to have a whole outfit where every single thing you look at, maybe not the shoes, I think that would be going a step too far, although I could wear my sailor slippers with that. Basically, I want everything that I'm wearing to be hand knitted. Maybe not the underwear, but everything else hand knitted. That is my vision, and when I finally achieve that, I will be so happy. The outfit has to go together as well. It has to be like a cohesive outfit, and that's just something I want to achieve. It's quite a random goal and quite vague because it could be any sort of combination of items, but that is what I want to have by the end of this year. Somehow be able to wear a whole outfit of just hand knits. My second goal is to knit more than one pair of socks. I am currently knitting my Petal Drop socks by Florence Miller, and I'm loving those, and it's kind of spurred me on and given me the motivation to knit more socks. So this year I want to knit more than one pair. That is quite a low goal probably. I'm not saying I want to knit one a month or anything like that. I just want to knit more than one pair, and I kind of want to understand socks a bit better. I want to get to the point where I can knit a pair of socks without thinking too hard about it. Like, I think a lot of knitting of a sock is quite mindless in the round. Obviously there's the heel part, which can be quite complicated, but apart from that, they're quite simple, just in the round things, and I love knitting in the round. So for me, I just think socks are going to be my new thing, and I'm kind of hyped, and I feel like I'm maybe in my sock era, but we will see. I need to actually finish my first pair first before I can officially call myself a sock knitter, but I feel like this year it's going to be something that I want to focus a little bit on and get to know a little bit better. My third goal is I want to look after my knits better. I want to wash my knits when they need to be washed. I'm not saying I need to overwash my sweaters. I know that you don't really need to wash sweaters too much, but especially when it comes to my summer tops, I think I need to figure out a way to care for them better so that I can wash them and wear them more regularly, because I've been finding that a lot of my summer tops especially, they get a bit sweaty and then they just sit in the washing basket, and I'm not washing them. I actually mentioned this in my Everything I Knit in 2025 video, and I've been having a lot of helpful people in the comments encouraging me to put my tin lean and my lean sort of linen and cotton knit in the washing machine, and they will be fine, and I am going to do that once I've worked up the courage. And so I think just being okay with washing my knits, if it has to be in the washing machine, obviously only if it's the correct yarn to go in the washing machine. I think I need to get better with doing that if it means that I wear them more, because if they're just going to sit in my washing basket, there's no point knitting them. So that is my intention, to care for my knits a bit more, also depilling my sweaters more often, because sometimes I find that if it gets too pilly, I just don't wear it because it looks a bit messy. But it literally takes a few minutes just to use my little fabric shaver thingy and just sort of keep a little bit better care of my knits, and also sort of sewing an elastic into neck bands, all those sort of maintenance-y things. and just washing them more often if it has to be hand washing as well. I think just taking a little bit better care of my knits, because we spend so long making all these things. If they're just going to sit at the bottom of a washing basket, there is no point knitting them. So that is another thing I'm thinking about as we head into this year. My next thing I want to do, and I am going to do because I have bought the yarn and a pattern that involves this, and that is steeking. I have previously mentioned how I'm scared of steeking, but I think I'm just going to get over the fear and I think it will be fine. The pattern that I'm going to be attempting my first steeking with is the Sweet Dreams sweater by Kylie Noel. This design has steeked armholes, so I feel like an armhole is a small enough area that it's not going to freak me out too much, and I think it's a good way to start with my steeking journey. One day I would love to do a steeked cardigan. I think starting with a sweater where just the armholes are steeked is going to be a good first way to try steeking. So yes, that is something I want to try this year, and I think I'm going to be doing it relatively soon because I have the yarn and the project that I know I'm going to be doing on. The next one is using up more scraps for accessories, I think, and just sort of accessory knitting in general. I knit so many sweaters last year because I was so obsessed with learning about construction and how garments kind of go and how they work, and trying saddle shoulders and trying raglans and trying drop shoulders, trying circular yokes. I just was so wanting to try all of those things that I kind of just put accessories aside. I was like, why would I need to try that when I'm so obsessed with knitting sweaters? But I think maybe my sweater obsession is not going, but I just have so many sweaters now, including this one that I'm wearing, which is probably my proudest sweater that I knit last year, my rosy sweater. Obviously I'm not saying that I'm going to stop knitting sweaters, I'm definitely not. I literally was just talking about a sweater that I'm going to be knitting, but I think I want to branch out into doing more accessories because I actually need accessories. Like, I don't really have a knitted hat for myself. I've knit a hat for my husband and a hat for my sister, and I've not knit one for myself. I also would love a scarf, and I would also love some gloves because my hands get cold in the winter, and I don't have these things, which is weird as a knitter, to not have so many accessories. And hand in hand with this is I want to use scraps or leftover skeins of yarns that I have from projects to knit these things. For Christmas, I knit my dad the sailor slippers and he loved them, and it was really great to just use up loads of random yarn, and I think that has kind of motivated me to want to do that more with things for myself as well. It doesn't just have to be gift knits. Obviously it's nice if you can have scrap yarn for a gift knit because you don't have to spend any money on the things, you've already bought it. But I think doing this for myself as well, like I've got some leftover tin Peer Gynt in brown from this rosy sweater. I would love to knit a Musselburgh hat in that yarn, and it's just sitting around and I could just do that. So I just want to think more about what I have left over, because at the moment I just have lots of random balls lying around from previous projects if I bought too much of a particular yarn for a project, and I'm sure there's something that I can do with that. So I want to think in that headspace a little bit more, use up some of those balls of yarn that are lying around, and I'll just get some nice accessories out of it in the process, so that can only be a good thing. The next thing I want to try and do is support more smaller knitting designers this year. Obviously there are so many amazing large pattern designers. We all know my favourite thing's Knitwear, we all know Petite Knit, and they're obviously amazing. Especially as a beginner, I found Petite Knit's patterns so useful, and you know, just classic designs. They're great, but I would love to spend my time and my money supporting smaller designers a little bit more this year, and then also just sharing about them on here, you know, supporting them, hyping them up. And yeah, I just would love to support more of those up and coming designers this year. And also I just love finding new designers. It's like my favorite secondary hobby to knitting. It's just finding new designers and new patterns on Ravelry and Instagram, and I just love doing that. So if anyone has any small designers that they are loving at the moment, let me know down in the comments. I will love to check them out, and maybe I can do a video rounding up some of my favorite patterns from small designers at some point this year as well. I would love to do that. There are so many and so many cool things out there. I just wish I could knit them all, but I only have one pair of hands, unfortunately. And finally, I want to take my knitting more places with me, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with my sock knitting. I want to find more ways that I can knit and do other activities. Not that I need to be constantly knitting, but I think it's quite fun sometimes when you're in a boring situation to have some knitting with you. And I think this is where my sock knitting will really have its time to shine. When I'm bored in a waiting room, when I'm on a train, when I'm being a passenger princess and not driving on a long car journey. There are lots of kind of boring times of life where you're not necessarily at home, but you could just whip out your knitting, even in a cafe. I feel like I draw the line at going to dinner. I feel like that's a step too far, but let me know if you disagree. I just want to find more ways to knit in my life that are not just when I'm at home, because I just think it'll be fun. Maybe even learning to walk and knit. Unfortunately, my dog has quite a lot of energy, so I feel like it would be a bit too hard to hold her lead and knit at the same time. But maybe I could take my knitting to a park and knit while she's running around. I don't know. I'm just thinking of various ways I could fit it in that would be fun to figure out. So again, if you have any weird places that you knit, that you enjoy knitting, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. That is all the resolutions I have for you today. I said at the beginning that I'm not someone that makes resolutions, but apparently I have quite a lot of resolutions there. So hopefully some of those resonated with you. Thank you so much for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I think 70% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you could hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!